Right, UFC Fight for the Troops 3 or Ultimate Fight Night 31 or UFC Fight Night on BT Sport. They've got to actually get their act together now, have the UFC, and they've got to start to create singular names, and of course the best way to do that is to stick with what they've had, because if they try and change things, people get confused. They start referring to the same card by different names. It's very unhelpful. It's not good for their business. So they're going to have to pin that down. I hope in the next year they do, because they've gone away from Ultimate Fight Nights. Now it's UFC Fight Night, but they've still got the banners for Fight for the Troops up, even though they haven't got that written anywhere. And the number 31 has vanished completely. And it's easier to identify a card via a number than try and remember who the hell was the title fight, when particularly they're churning out the UFN events, and that is not necessarily somebody well known. So apart from that, I'm going to carry on now with my predictions. It is a UFN event, so these are going to be quick picks. So there we are. We've got 2 this week, so you'll excuse me. The main event is Tim Kennedy 16-4 versus Rafael Natal 17-4, and their records are not the only thing that they seem to have in common. Both are primarily submission fighters, but neither of them, so their records say, have ever lost by submission. Nevertheless, expect this to be a submission fest. Both are on winning streaks, although it could be argued that Tim Kennedy has actually fought better calibers. For that reason, I'm going to go for him winning, but I'm going to go for decision. It's the token women's bout. Liz Carmouche and Alexis Davis, goodness only knows, although there is a huge disparity in records here. 14-5 versus 8-3. It's either a squash match or it's somebody who has an inflated record and they hope the other person's going to win. I have no idea. They both have photos, so I don't know who to choose. I think I'll abstain. In my opinion, this is a pointless match, but here we go. Ronnie Marks, 14-1, is facing Yoel Romero Palacio, who actually has fought at least once in the UFC, I think maybe twice. Was it twice? No. Once in Strikeforce, once in the UFC, where he won. That was his last match, but there's a 2-year disparity between the two. Anyway, fought once this year in the UFC and has won. Fantastic, with a KO. Not surprising, because he's won all his matches so far by knockout, and he's only lost once, and that was a knockout as well. One could say exceptional fighter, one might say one-trick pony. At this point in his career, who's supposed to know? Ronnie Marks, on the other hand, 14-1, pretty well-rounded in the way he wins, only lost once, happens to be by submission. He's on a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 fight win streak with reasonable calibers. So why do they need to feed some other can to him? I don't know. Is it because he's only managed decisions over the past 4 fights? I don't know. He's been fighting higher calibers. They've been gradually getting better anyway. That's the idea. I don't know. I think they are hoping that he can make quick work here out of Yoel, and therefore boost him out of this decision. Whatever, I think it's unfortunate, but there we are. I'm going to go for Ronnie Marks. I'll say decision. But I do feel a bit sorry for Yoel on this one. Not too difficult, this one, I don't think, to call. George Masvidal, 25-7, is fighting Rustam Kavylov, 16-1. I'm going to go for a George Masvidal decision here, despite the fact that he is he's sort of got the worst record. That's mainly because he's fighting much higher calibers, and decision victory. 13 out of his 25 are decisions. So that's going to be my prediction there. This one's an interesting fight. This is Michael Chiesa, 9-1, versus Colton Smith, 3-2. They actually want Colton Smith to win here. This is because he is a submission fighter, and his glaring problem is his 2 losses, both of which have come by TKO. Michael Chiesa is not a knockout striker. In fact, he is a submission artist as well. If they'd wanted him definitely to be defeated, they would have probably put a striker against him. They've put Michael Chiesa, who is coming off a loss by submission, which is what they're hoping for again, I think. I'm going to therefore go for Colton Smith. I shall go for a bar submission in the second. This fight will probably be fight of the night. This is Bobby Green, 20-5, versus James Krause, 20-4, and both of which are very similar. Their main strengths are submissions, although Bobby has the TKO thing as well. They're both on reasonable win streaks, at least 5 in length. I am going to go and say I think James Krause will win this one, but it could be as close as a split decision. I think this is very well managed indeed, this one, and it's going to come down to who can do better on the night, definitely. Unfortunately, this next bout I think is dependent on what happens with George Roop. 14-9 is his record. 9-2 is the record of his opponent, Francisco Rivera. Now, George Roop has the problem is that his record is sort of pickled. Loss, win, loss, win, loss, draw, win, loss, win, loss, loss, win, win. Who knows? He's also pretty well rounded. The main win here is by decision, but who knows? I don't know. But based on that, I will go for him by decision. The next match could be a fight of the night contender again. This is Dennis Bermudez versus Stephen Seiler. At one time, I believe these are both toughers. 11-3 for Dennis, 23-10 for Stephen. The interesting thing here is that Dennis almost always wins by decision, unless he loses, in which case it's always by submission. So, of course, the first thing I thought to look at was, well, what is Stephen Seiler's area of expertise? You might like to know that there are 13 out of 23 of his victories are by submission. He does lose by submission, but he's only lost once by decision. Therefore, I'm going to go out on a limb and say that I think that he will win by bar submission in the third. It's the second women's bout of the card. Amanda Nunes versus Jermaine de Randamie or something. I think I'll go for the former there, even though they've both got pictures, so how do I know? I don't know. But I'll go for the first there. Could be my bum prediction of the night, this. Chris Camozzi, 19-6, is fighting Lorenz Larkin, 13-1. Chris Camozzi is coming off a loss by submission, although his main area of skills, you might like to know, is decision, and the reason that's important is because Lorenz Larkin's only loss happens to be by decision. He it's arguable who's fought better calibers. Lorenz Larkin has had an interesting stint in, was it Strikeforce? Probably. Who knows? We'll wait until the page comes up. Yes, it was Strikeforce. I'm going to go, and I'm going to say I think Chris Camozzi will win this, but I'm going to go for decision. Yancy Medeiros has a record of 9-1. That one he picked up in the UFC. He's fighting Yves Edwards. Wait for the record, 42-20. Yes, Edwards is in fact coming off 2 losses in a row. Both of those, however, are split decisions. Do you know, I think this is quite obvious that they want Yves Edwards to win here. Just a simple win will at least alleviate the strain, since those 2 losses are both split decisions. And Yancy Medeiros probably doesn't know what he's walking into. I'm going to go for a choke submission in the second by Yves Edwards. It's a similar story. Seth Baksinski, 18-10, fighting Neil Magny, 8-2. You know, Seth is on a 2-fight loss streak, and Neil Magny's area of weakness is submissions, which is just as well because it's Seth's, you know, area of expertise. Although he also loses by submission quite a lot as well. You know, I think his only chance is to get a decision, and I worry that he will run out of time. I'm actually going to go here for a Neil Magny decision. The question you have to ask yourself is, can Brian Houston, perfect for, not even a picture on Sherdog, knock out Derek Brunson, 10-2, who's from Jackson's? The answer is almost certainly no, although it has to be said that one of the 2 losses on Brunson's record is by TKO. That was done by Ronaldo Souza, and do we think that Brian Houston is a Ronaldo Souza? Almost certainly not. Therefore, I think it will probably be Derek Brunson who wins, and I'm going to go for a TKO. Wouldn't that be funny? In the first. That would be even more funny.